about lockdown and everything associated with that. But I digress. So when it comes to dating, what frustrates me about Troy Francis is he doesn't seem to want to do anything to change the landscape, to help men, to level the playing field. And it's interesting that when you watch his YouTube videos, as with an awful lot of content creators on YouTube, they have a business. They're ultimately trying to sell you something, whether it's coaching or books or whatever. And they don't make any money directly through making the videos, but the videos and the content is all about, it's basically just all about the first point of call to try and get people interested, then to get subscribers. So hopefully a proportion of those subscribers would engage with their paid material. So when you kind of, in one way, you have to take those kind of content creators, what they say with a pinch of salt, because they are giving information, they are giving value. A lot of that information is going to be very valid, but it's meant to try and direct you towards their solutions, their products, their coaching, and all that sort of thing. So that's what I think with Troy Francis. He has all these videos saying how tough it is out there, but is he doing it partly because to get men to buy into his products? That's an interesting thing to think about. But the thing that is frustrating me about Troy Francis and many others, but Troy's one I've been following, is that if I saw the problem, and he's a guy, middle-aged guy, he's been on the dating scene his whole life, never married, so he knows what it's like. He knows it's getting harder. I find it very strange that if men and women want to meet each other, it shouldn't get any harder or easier depending on what you're in, unless unless there's been a war or something and there's a population difference in the population between men and women. But I do digress. If he's right and he's saying it's getting that tough, and the whole dating market is now skewed against men, that women are having a whale of a time, having it much easier, and this is because of more recent inventions, the globalization of the dating marketplace, Tinder, Bumble, and all that sort of thing, and the way they kind of work for the way women see dating rather than for men. If that's the case, then why don't you then try and create a service to help men, not train men to level up or raise the bar, but to help the average guy continue to be an average guy and be able to find compatible women. And I've been thinking, what could be created to help men? Because I think he's right. I think the globalization of the dating marketplace has benefited women. It's benefited the kind of average women out there to the detriment of men, especially the average guy who 20, 50, 100 years ago could have quite easily formed a relationship with the average Jane out there. But now it seems to be a struggle because the average Jane now has access to the beefed up top guys, as it were. So what could be done to level the playing field? And I've been wandering around and I've been thinking about this. And these are just my ideas. First of all, if this is a real problem, and I think it is, because there's been some statistics that have said about, I think, a third of men under 30 have had no sex in the last year or something like that. And that figure has risen dramatically from where it used to be. So we need recognition among the general population and not just among the male population or the manosphere or the incels and all that kind of thing. Recognition among the general population that men are having a problem, that men have been put, average and below average men have been put at a disadvantage, not because of the fault of any one individual, but largely because of technology and the way the dating marketplace has developed. So that's the first thing to do, raise awareness. I've been thinking about this whole point. And the thing is that there is always a difficulty with that, because there are many groups out there that may have been discriminated. I do not think today, they are a discriminated minority groups. But if you think about ethnic minorities, women in general, and the LGBTQI and whatever goes after that, those groups, okay, forget about women because that's going to complicate the matter bit. But let's think about ethnic minorities and the LGBT groups. Now, it is possible that in the past that those groups may have faced some sort of discrimination. So organisations have sprung up to try and call for equality to those groups. But what's happened now is all the organisations that are campaigning for racial equality and gender equality and all that kind of thing, they have so much funding from the big banks and the mega corporations, and there's so much recognition that actually these groups, I would say, are now privileged groups. They are not truly discriminated groups or truly disadvantaged groups because they've got the big banks and mega corporations sponsoring Pride and Black History Month and all that sort of thing. And by the way, I have nothing against people who are either black or gay or whatever. I'm just making a point that these groups, I do not believe today, are discriminated against. They might have been in the past, they're not now. But the thing is that the media, the mainstream media, have played a big role in that. They have promoted, black and rights of ethnic minorities and LGBT rights and all that sort of thing. They've promoted those things. The problem is with men's rights, and Troy did say in one of his videos that there are these men's rights activists and they failed miserably because half the population are women. So that's the problem you have with raising awareness, is because how do you do that without the media on board? If men in general are at a disadvantage in the dating market, and there are various pundits out there that saying this is going to cause major societal problems in 10, 20 years' time, major problems. But if you cannot get the media to get on board with that campaign, the campaign of raising awareness, then what do? Well, you've got to do your best. You've got to, I think, talk to women about these things whenever we can. You get your own little organisations to start up your own little organisation, however small it is, to try and just raise some awareness among the general population about men's dating struggles. And hopefully get a few celebrity influencers to maybe who are influential to women to talk to women about these things. Hey, because one thing that I would like from women is one thing I could ask women, young, attractive, flirty types of women. One thing I could appeal to you is this: if you are one of those watching, a lot of women kind of flaunt the fact, I think, that they can sleep with any guy they want, that they've got the sexuality they can pull whenever they want. Please show a bit of humility. Not everyone has it as easy as you. And I would say the same to myself. I know there's ways that I have it easy, that I'm privileged, and I don't always appreciate other struggles that others go through. Maybe some struggles that women have, life issues they have that I don't have. But we need more mutual understanding on this. So that's the first point. We need to raise awareness. We need to identify clearly what the problem is and think about raising awareness in whatever way about how men have become disadvantaged in the dating marketplace. And it's important because dating and relationships are one of the most important and fundamental aspects of life. Some would argue it's kind of one of the main purposes of life. So it should not be the case that regular guys are having to struggle at this. So that's the first point. The second point is that if it was possible to create apps such as Tinder and Bumble and other dating apps which have benefited women and given women, the average women in particular, more opportunities at the expense of the average guys, would there be another type of dating app or types of technological interventions that could help men? Or what could be in place to help men? Because obviously whoever created these apps, it obviously was possible not to change one's biological instincts or biological choices, but they've been obviously able to impact the dating marketplace through that. So surely it must be possible to create some sort of technology that would do the opposite, that would help men, and would mean that when it comes to dating, that there would no longer be this power struggle. It would no longer be the women calling all the shots, both at the beginning and as the relationship progresses, and being the one that's always most likely to leave. It will be a level playing field. So we need to think, what kinds of technology, what kinds of inventions could help men? At the moment, I have not thought of a technological invention that could help men. Maybe someone might have some ideas. But what I'm thinking would help men is the availability of more affordable matchmaking services. Because you see, the way I see the dating marketplace is this, and this is, you can't change biology or anyone's preferences, but you obviously can change what's available. I think the way it is, in general, women are going to be more selective than men. They're going to be more particular about what they want. I think with men but at the same time, I also think with women that every woman's going to have slightly different things. So in order to attract a woman, to have a good relationship and all that, you don't need to be the best looking guy, the one with the biggest muscles, the one with the most money, the one with the most best banter and that. Obviously, different women have slightly different preferences in terms of looks, personality, interests. And most men, average guys, can probably find an area in their lives where they know they have a bit of an edge in one particular sphere. And it could be that you are very artistic, very creative, and therefore you can attract a woman who is drawn to that. Now, I've been looking at some another dating coach that I follow is Kezia Noble, and she was talking about attraction triggers and attraction enhancers. I can't remember what the attraction triggers were, but one of the fundamental ones is strength, be it not necessarily just physical strength, but strong character, all that sort of thing, mental strength as well. But she was talking about humor and stating that humor is not an attraction trigger, but it can be an attraction enhancer. And I think the same would go for things like musical ability, artistic ability, and those sort of things. A woman's not going to be attracted to you because you have those, simply because you have those skills. But if you display the characteristics that make a woman attracted to you, and you have one or more of those types of skills or abilities or interests, that can enhance the level of attraction. So I think we need to help men. We need more matchmaking services. We need perhaps to find those people who can, and I'm thinking maybe matchmaking services that, I'm not saying women can't join them, but they're kind of aimed at men. They're kind of created with the recognition that ordinarily that men have been placed at a disadvantage in the dating market, and therefore they need a little bit of help and assistance. So the matchmaker understands those dynamics and is able to find out a little bit about the man and try and tap into those contexts and environments where he might meet a woman who's compatible, who would like him, if you get where I'm coming from here. So I think matchmaking services that are designed, that with a specific kind of aim in mind to address this imbalance, would help men a lot. And yeah, mine's gone blank here. It's what's going to happen on this podcast. My mind's going to go blank. I'm thinking all these things. I have no notes. I've got no agenda. I'm not trying to say anything on that end. These are my thoughts. It's raw. I might be thinking a little differently next week, but that's the way it is with the Autistic Thinking Anonymous Guy podcast. Hopefully